The Socialist Party, right from the beginning of the election of Jeremy Corbyn, while supporting him, we've warned that the right within the Labour movement, and particularly in the Parliamentary Labour Party, were unreconciled to his election. They've implacably opposed him from day one. What we've had in the Labour Party is in effect two parties, one representing the past in the predominantly right-wing Parliamentary Labour Party, and the other representing the new chapter of socialism, of the battle against austerity, and so on. And we said that this conflict could not be reconciled. There were in effect two parties within the Labour Party, and that at a certain stage the right would strike. Well, now that has happened. With this declaration of war, in the course of this civil war, where they voted by over 170 votes to 40 for a vote of no confidence in Jeremy Corbyn. By the way, they've had the support of the capitalist media, and there's an old saying, show me who your friend is, and I will show you who he or she is. And the Financial Times, it wasn't an accident, the day before this particular decision was taken, urged the Parliamentary Labour Party to actually use the dagger, metaphorically speaking, to remove Corbyn from his position. Why did they do this? What was the reasons for this vote of no confidence? It's absolutely farcical. We had, for instance, the argument, well, he wasn't enthusiastic for the Remain cause in the referendum. And that is probably true, because secretly, probably, he disagreed with it, but he was trapped by the parliamentary right-wing Labour Party who forced him into this position. He was trapped behind enemy lines, as we said many times. And the other one was, well, his assistants didn't turn up for the briefings of the Remain camp. This is just an excuse. They've been looking for an opportunity to remove him. And if it wouldn't have been on the EU, it would have been on other issues as well. Why do they want to remove him? Because he has the support of millions of workers, of the active base within the Labour and trade union movement. And there's an additional reason now, which has brought forward the plans, the coups, if you like, that have been there, being plotted in Parliament and in other meeting spaces of the right. And that is that we have a crisis in Britain now with the decision to leave the EU, and the consequences of that in the turmoil in the Tory party, the possibility that a new Tory leader will be elected, or likelihood that they will be elected, and that a general election could take place in the autumn. That's not certain, but it's a possibility. And if Jeremy Corbyn remains in situ, remains as the leader of the Labour Party, it's not excluded that in a general election, such as the feeling against austerity, that he could be pushed into power. And then the ruling class are afraid they're under the pressure of an aroused rank and file, politically moving towards the left, to millions of workers looking for serious improvements in their conditions, that Jeremy Corbyn could introduce radical measures. It's not just an organisational thing. It's connected with the overall situation that exists in Britain, the objective situation, which is difficult for capitalism, and they want people in power who can hold the line against the mass upsurge that is coming in Britain. That is why they've moved at this particular moment in time. What should be the response of the Labour movement and of the working class and young people? There should be an immediate calling of a Labour movement conference, not restricted just to the Labour Party itself. We had some people who argued we have to contain the discussion within the Labour Party. We have to conciliate the right, and we have to remain intact until a general election is called. This, we believe, was wrong. The right have their own agenda. They were waiting for this moment. Now that moment has arrived, we have to act decisively, and Jeremy and his supporters have to act decisively to use the opportunity that if the right wing act in this way, as Lenny McCluskey, the Unite General Secretary, has pointed out, then re-selection should be moved to remove the right from their positions. This has been our position all along. Lenny McCluskey had arguments with us on this and said it wasn't opportune, but it is opportune now in order to strengthen the Labour movement and to develop it in the socialist direction. If this was done and included not just the narrow base of what is the Labour Party, but extend it to young people who are moving towards the left, to left parties and groups, such as ourselves, to have a different form of organisation of the Labour Party, not the top-down bureaucratic machine that has existed until now, but an open, pluralist approach, a democratic Labour Party, a bit like what it was in the first period of a federalist Labour Party, with different trends participating within that movement. If that is done, and the mobilisation of youth outside who support Jeremy or not part of any organised movement at the moment, they can be brought in. They can be a powerful weapon for reshaping the Labour movement for whatever the challenge is, whether it's a general election or the continued austerity programme of the Tory government itself. And therefore, we have a big responsibility now to not flinch from this challenge, to take up the gauntlet thrown down by the right and the capitalists behind them who are supporting them, move decisively on a programme of anti-austerity. And at the same time, link that to socialism in Britain and on a European scale. We advocated leave in the referendum, not on narrow nationalist grounds, not on the basis of any support of UKIP or anything like that. And in the aftermath of leave, there have been a spike in racist attacks. Our responsibility is to defend those workers who've come from outside of Britain to this country, defend them against these racist attacks, but at the same time of putting forward a socialist and a class alternative, which means a socialist Britain and a socialist confederation, a democratic socialist confederation of Europe. We're not little Englanders. We don't believe in narrow nationalism. We think it's the working class on a European scale that holds the key to this situation. And the working class holds the key to this battle that is developing within the Labour movement at the present time. If you agree with what we are saying, then join this battle, join the Socialist Party, and let's create a powerful weapon that can destroy the rule of capital and open up a democratic, liberating socialism for working people and the youth in the period that we're going into.